We continue now with our Spotlight series with Daniel Pluff. This series highlights businesses and people doing something special in our area. The role of banks and bank services has changed dramatically over the years. What once was a basic business of deposits and lending has grown into several new services and options. Community Bank, headquartered in DeWitt, New York, has seen its share of growth and now has a far-reaching footprint well beyond central New York. But how can a growing bank stay close to local needs? What's the impact of online banking? And more importantly, how can customers safeguard their accounts from hacking and fraud? RJ Daniel Pluff met with Community Bank's Chief Executive Officer, Dimitar Karaivanov, for answers along with the bank's view on the Central New York economy and what the future of banking may look like.
So the name implies, local. You think community bank, but it's actually a pretty good-sized bank. I mean, your footprint, as you call it, how far-reaching are you? Where do you go?
So we go all the way from Western New York, Buffalo, essentially, and Olean, and Jamestown, all the way to Vermont, Western Massachusetts, and Eastern PA. We've got $15 billion in assets and about 200 branches in that footprint. We're one of the 100 largest banking institutions in the country and the largest in Central New York.
200 branches.
That's right.
Big area. So how do you keep it local, though? I mean, the needs, say, in wherever, the South are different than maybe the needs in the North. How do you keep that local appeal?
Great question. It's our people. So we empower our people in those markets to really be the bank president of those branches in those markets, essentially. And our people are active, they're involved in the community, they volunteer their time, they're know their neighbors. So it's part of what we all do. So keeping that small town feeling and service while providing it on the backbone of a much larger institution with the products and the capabilities.
Yeah, old school, banks took money in, you paid interest on those deposits. You loaned money out, you charged on the loan, and that difference, or the spread you folks call it, was maybe where you're making your money. But banking's changed. I mean, you're offering all kinds of new services now, correct?
Correct, and that's where, again, whereas we've moved really to a relationship as opposed to purely a transaction. That's where being a diversified financial services company really comes into play for us, because we're fairly unique. We do not only the banking piece, not only adding the wealth management piece or even the insurance piece, but we also have a large benefits administration business that's actually nationwide.
Okay, so because banking's competitive, I'm telling you what you already know, and you've got to distinguish yourself. Is that what you're trying to do here, to provide as many products and services as possible? Not necessarily one-stop shopping, but almost?
We're trying to make it easy for customers seamlessly to do business with us and solve most of their financial needs. We're not going to solve all of them, right? But we're trying to make it easy for them.
I don't have anything concrete to say on this, but people that I talk to that are in business, and many times they'll tell me they prefer a local presence. I mean, without no disrespect to the J.P. Morgans and the big banks of the world, they want to know the people. Do you find that to be the case here?
Absolutely, 100%. And again, you can't replace the relationship that you build with people in person and the trust that you build. And our business is trust at the end of the day. So knowing who you're doing business with goes a long way. And that's why we're expanding actually our footprint. A lot of banks are closing down branches. We're actually opening branches across our footprint.
Forgive me, but that begs a couple of questions right there then. So first of all, opening a branch has got to be expensive.
That's right.
So how do you determine where and when and why to put a new facility in some area? How do you do that?
Yeah, so there's a couple of things we look at. One is the economic opportunity. And luckily for us, I think what's happening in upstate New York and central New York, but really all the way from Buffalo to the 90 corridor in Albany, is we're seeing a lot of activity coming back, onshoring of priorly offshored, manufacturing, for example. So we actually have an economic uptick in our markets. We're also, as a company, we're very much underpenetrated in the larger markets. We grew up in the smaller markets, tertiary areas, but if you even look at places like Syracuse, we only have 3 or 4 locations. So we have a lot of room to grow.
In this day and age, online banking seems to be a growing trend. No disrespect to the branches, but do we really need more branches?
So it's very interesting you say that, because what we're seeing is the transactions in the branches, the purely transactional business, is coming down. which is actually good because people can get service in multiple ways, online or on their phone. But the relationship building needs are actually increasing. And especially when people have any sort of a problem, right? If you have an issue with your escrow for your mortgage or your small business,
and
you
can
exactly, you want to talk to somebody, you want to get it done right there. You want to get it right down right there. So that's where you need the presence.
But you have seen, I'm guessing, an uptick in people using their phones for applications on the phone, et cetera. That's a growing area.
Absolutely, and so it's hard because you're investing in both of the legacy, retail branch network and also in the technological backbone to it.
So look down the road for me. I mean, a lot of changes have taken place over the years. Where do you see banking heading? How will banking look different 5-10 years from now?
Yeah, look, banking's been different every 5 or 10 years. And at the end of the day, though, it comes back to the people and the integrity and your values and who you are and being involved in the communities. And there's just no replacing that. The technology is going to continue to escalate and improve. We're going to continue to have less transactions in the branches. But those touch points with the customers, the most important times, when you get a mortgage, right? When you sign up for the 529s for your kids, when you open up a business, those interactions occur with a person.
The other thing that I'm hearing a lot about is, fraud. What safeguards do you have in place? And as a customer, what should I be watching for? How to better safeguard the assets?
It's a huge issue. They're extremely good. Social engineering, they can pretend who you are. So you have to be very skeptical of any outreaches that you're claiming to be your financial institution. It happens all the time. So on the business side, one of the things that we're seeing is a lot of check fraud, for example. So we encourage our business customers to sign up for what's called positive pay, where they have to approve the checks before they get paid out. It's a little bit more work, but it's extremely beneficial.
So if you saw something that looked a little odd, you're going to say,
you're going to say,
right?
Exactly,
Yeah.
We're going to put a stop on it right away. On the personal side, use multi-factor authentication.
If something happens, say I have an account at Community, checking account, and sure enough, that gets hacked somehow, am I responsible for that?
Depending on the circumstances, but typically it is our responsibility, which is why we make a lot of investments to make sure that doesn't happen, and luckily for us, it hasn't been an issue.
As a major player in the market that you are, you probably talk to a lot of business people, business owners, all different sizes. How do you think the local economy is doing here in Central New York?
It's really exciting times, to be honest with you. And again, we haven't seen this in a long time in our markets, but all of our clients, they're expanding, they're seeing more demand for their products. What's happening with Micron and kind of the chips manufacturing and everything around it, there's a huge ecosystem that's coming along with all of that. And it's not just Micron, it's just if you look at, and these are stats from Center State CEO, but if you look at the economic pipeline today in Central New York versus 2019, it's 20x. That does not include Micron. So there's just a lot of activity happening.
Where are we weak? If you look around, where would you say we need a little help?
I think if you look at the areas in my mind that we need a lot of help in housing, we haven't built housing in our markets for a long time because there was no demand. So now when there's demand, we don't deliver near the number of units we need to deliver to.
Well, some are blaming you because the interest rates have come higher, mortgage rates are higher, and it's a little more difficult getting the loan. Is that part of the problem, or is it more on the inventory side?
There's just no inventory.
Yeah.
We got plenty of buyers where there's just no inventory.
Let's talk as we wrap up. I like the conversation, but let's talk a little bit specifically about the bank. We talked at the beginning about the community aspect, but in banking and financial services in general, there's a lot of mergers going on, one taking over the other. Can you stay committed to the community? Is there a chance your name may change down the road?
I think there's a very low chance that our name will change because we earn our independence every day. So if you look at us, we're actually one of the highest valued banking institutions in the country. And if we earn our independence, it's very hard for anyone to really partner with us in a way that is us being acquired. We are an active acquirer though, so we're an active consolidator, and it's part of our business model, and we bring our community business model to all these other new communities that we enter.
We're here in these offices in DeWitt, but you're moving to a new location pretty soon, Brent, a new building for you. Is that a sign that you're committed?
Absolutely.
Locally?
100%. You know, we're making a big investment here in Syracuse.
That move should take place sometime in 2025.
Sometime in 25, yep. We're redoing all the floors of the former Agway building,
Sure.
or Big Sellers building. And we look forward to moving and kind of consolidating all of our businesses in one place so we can function together as one company.
Well, listen, we wish you well with that. Like the conversation about banking, the economy, what's going on here locally. Thanks very much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity.